All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our lovely co host, Calvin, with us. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, y'all? Calvin McGowan here as usual.
All right, and you got myself, Alan Pettigrew Jr., and we are the Traveling Hoopers. Now let's go ahead and get started. What we're doing today is a New Year's resolution for some of the top 25 college basketball schools in America. So let's go ahead and get straight into it with the number one. And who is that, Calvin?
All right. So, going off the AP poll, the number one team in the country currently is Duke.
Dookie Duke. Okay.
And for me, at least, my New Year's resolution for them is simply not to get shaken the next time they run up into dudes that are their own size or something close. And like as I'm sure some of y'all are aware, a couple weeks back they lost to Gonzaga. The first team they really encountered that could more or less match up with them physically. If I'm them, I'm trying to make sure that even though I'm sure they're going to run into other teams that can, that it doesn't shake them like it did that first time.
Yeah, and my personal New Year's resolution for them is a little bit more of a R.J. Barrett and Zion Williamson pick and roll. I just feel like that's one of the more dynamic plays in college basketball, just because you literally have to pick your poison. Not too many defenders can match up with Zion. R.J. Barrett is a killer. For the most part, if you force most college teams to pick who they really want to guard, they're about to get cooked either way it goes. You can't match it with Zion. Like, that's all I'm saying. And free throws, shooting 68% from the charity stripe. That's crazy. Got to do better on that. All right.
All right, so number 2 team in the country is Michigan. My New Year's resolution for them is to not get complacent because I think they beat everybody. They've beaten just about everybody they've played by double digits. And if I'm them, and if I'm, their coach, Beeline,
Mm-hmm.
My concern is that my team's going to get complacent, lose a game they shouldn't have lost. Alternatively, for him, the best way to get that resolution is to go ahead and get that L right before the tournament starts, because you can do something about it before the tournament starts. But once the tournament starts, one loss and you go home.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't get complacent.
My resolution for them is find another guy you actually trust. Because I'm looking at Michigan's stat. They have a short rotation with 7 guys on the that actually get minutes. I think of the 7 people, Eli Brooks gets the least minutes with 16 and a half. Everybody else is averaging at least 20 points a game. And I completely understand that Beeline is one of those older coaches where the older guys or one outstanding freshman, what they have in Ignis, not even going to butcher that man's last name, but find another guy within the next couple weeks that you don't necessarily need to rely on. But because if they're 1 or 2 injuries away from literally playing 5 guys 40 minutes a game, and that's not going to work well for them, especially coming in a tournament or conference play. All
right. So next up is Tennessee Vols. My New Year's resolution for them is recruitment concern, I guess Schofield kind of don't fall in love with the 3 too much because you kind of takes in Schofield in particular, it kind of takes you away from what he's good at. Kind of like with how in the Kansas game he was constantly shooting threes until Grant Williams fouled out, and then he decided to go into the post, and he was kind of a problem. Not a big enough problem to have the Vols win, but do what you got to do to win games.
Yeah. I actually don't have anything for Tennessee. They're moving like a well-oiled machine at this point. Less than 12 turnovers a game. I guess if I want to nitpick, limit that. But, 35% from three-point line, 50% from the field, 72% from the from free throw line. Yeah, there's nothing from me on this one. All I gotta say is, Calvin, you leave Schofield alone. That boy is shooting 44% from the 3-point line.
It's went up. Like the thing is, it went up since the last time I've looked at it. Good on him not taking anything away from it. But when I was the games I was watching, he was kind of chugging and not hitting like that. I guess the shot started falling. Not taking anything away, but just
Yeah, man, they have 4 guys shooting over 40% from three. One of them don't really count though, because he's only shot 1, but they got 40 guys. Leave Tennessee alone, bro. My New Year's resolution is you keep that up. This is the best Tennessee team I've seen in years. So my thing is you just keep it up. Keep feeding through Williams and Schofield. I guess if you can find another guy that can be a standout, like if you get Lamont Turner, he looked like he was cooking before he got injured. That could be the only thing I can imagine them getting better at. All
right. Next up is Virginia.
Okay.
And my New Year's resolution for them is to not lose to another 16 seed. Which is petty, but they always do good during the regular season anyway. So, what you got, Alan?
My New Year's resolution for them is to see if you can find a go-to scorer. It really looks like they have a 3-headed monster in DeAndre Hunter, Ty Jerome, and Kyle Guy. And I know Hunter is supposed to be their guy, but all 3 of them are averaging 14 points a game. No one's really taking more shots than another. If you go farther down and look at their efficiencies, they look like the same exact player. If somebody blindfolded you and told you these are the numbers, you probably couldn't tell them apart. Outside of Ty Jerome being better at facilitating, but Hunter and Kyle Guy, their numbers are identical. Even though Kyle's averaging a few more minutes a game, both are elite 3-point shooters at this level. Knocked down from literally everywhere. The only person who struggles a little bit more from the field is Kyle Guy. Now I imagine that's around the rim. But my thing for them is to make sure defense is the thing that actually gets you through the tournament, because your scoring is low, and if you have one off night on defense, especially come March, they'll be watching the tournament with me right here on this couch.
Before we move on, I do want to say part of the reason their scoring is low is literally just how they play. They play a slow-paced game. That's why their scoring is low. That's how the coach has them play. And it bit them in the tournament last year, because the thing about playing slow is it makes it harder to catch up if someone gets a big lead on you.
Exactly. Yeah. And can I do the next one?
All right.
Next one. Good old Kansas at number 5. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead and say it again. I'm right.
You're right.
You know what the Jayhawks? What'd you say?
Don't get too used to that. But what about the Jayhawks?
Hey, bro, don't try me, yo. You're right, because we going back up to number 1 once the committee gets over this little blemish we had against Arizona State. But my New Year's resolution for them is to find a guy down the stretch that isn't Dedrick Lawson. I love LeGerald Vick, but he seemed a tad bit timid in the last couple minutes of that game. And Lawson was cooking all game, but the minute he slowed down, Kansas slowed down. And to see that type of struggle was really weird, especially with Vic having a season like he is. He averages pretty much 16 points a game, shooting 47% from the three-point line. He's having a little struggle not even a struggle from the field. He's shooting 49% and then 73% from free throw line. I would say you got to find somebody. You got to find your closer. And on any given night, it is Lawson. But who's your number 2? Somebody has to be that second option with 5 seconds left on the clock because they don't got it at this point.
But kind of fairness, I thought the number 2 was Vic, and Vic and Lawson have kind of just have been the main reason they've somehow stayed undefeated as long as they did.
Yeah.
But the thing would still be to find somebody who's not them.
Yeah.
And especially with Azubuike hurt. Is he still hurt?
He just came back, I think, last game.
Okay. And then you can't trust him with the stripe.
Yeah, that 35% from the free throw line that's gross.
So, yeah, find somebody who's not Vic or Lawson to save you once in a while. And keep Azubuike as far away from the free throw line as you possibly can.
Yeah. The reverse hacker Doka.
Yeah.
All right. Who's next?
Next is Nevada.
Okay.
And let me just get a quick peek here. And I think my thing for them is, and they haven't necessarily had a huge issue with this, is make sure you don't play down to the level of your competition. Because they put in some good games, but then Akron played them entirely too close. I actually caught that game. There's no reason Akron should be playing y'all like that. So don't play down to the level of your competition. Because there's no reason they shouldn't be able to go undefeated or only with 1 or 2 losses coming into the tournament.
Yeah. I haven't really seen too much of Nevada this year, but what I have seen, Caleb Martin is cooking. 20 points a game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. If he doesn't go in the first round, somebody's going to love having him in the second. My thing for them, it's hard to say. This is another team that's pretty darn complete. Shooting well from every aspect. Defense is pretty nice. They don't turn the ball over whatsoever at 9 a game. And scoring is pretty okay. Yeah, I don't have anything for Nevada on this one.
Okay. But, yeah, just don't play. Make sure you don't play down low with your competition.
Yeah.
But Otherwise, they've been playing some really good basketball.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, next we're on to the Zags. And they're kind of harder. They're one you could probably be like, oh, I don't really have anything for. But if I was going to give them something, don't assume you're going to, like, you probably are, but don't just assume you're going to steamroll everybody in conference like you always do. Except for, BYU and St. Mary's every other year or so. Because some of these teams have been playing better basketball than they usually do.
Yeah.
No, but it's like, other than that, I don't have too much. They've played their non-conference and have come away with only 2 losses. You can't really say too much about that because they always play a hard non-conference.
My thing for them is better guard defense. And their 2 losses, they played Tennessee and North Carolina, and both times it was a guard that cooked them. In the North Carolina game, Cameron Johnson went off for 25, and it's not like he had to put up a lot of shots. He only took 12 shots, and he was efficient in those 12 shots, and there's nothing that Gonzaga could do. I don't know if that means that definitely means Josh Perkins and Norville have to step up that defense. But even if you look at the Tennessee game, pretty much the same story. Schofield cooked them for 30. He did have a high volume of shots there, but they play almost as if they don't have the guys to match up with them. And even Jordan Bone, who's doing pretty good this year, having a pretty good season, even he was able to get out of character with non-assists just because everything was clicking. And it happened back-to-back. So I don't know if they just don't do well on back-to-backs. Well, it wasn't even a back-to-back. It was 6 days later. But something about elite guard play that they can't do anything with. So I don't know if they need to scheme a better defense or right out the gate have Hashimura guard that lead ball handler. But they need a much better backcourt defense going into conference. Well, not really. I'm looking at the conference play. I know how you said don't worry about it. I mean, you should be worried, but you probably shouldn't be worried.
That's the thing. Even though the conference is probably better than it's been in a minute, on the whole, I don't think St. Mary's is as good as it was last year.
Oh, no.
BYU might be better. San Francisco is better. But it's not I don't think any of those teams are getting ranked, though.
Yeah.
Also, as I'm thinking about it, Gonzaga's done all this with, and granted he's a front court player, but they've still done all this without one of their best players in Killian Tilly. He's been hurt the whole season.
Yeah.
I think he's supposed to come back during conference play. I'm not sure though. But that would also help him.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Especially if I really honestly don't know too much about Killian Tilly. Is he going to be a rim protector? Because I don't remember much from last year.
Let me double check. One of the things that I want to think last year he was the lead scorer.
Oh, okay.
I'm not as sure about I don't quite remember how he was on defense though. Let's see.
Because honestly, unless Killian Tilly is really that guy when it comes to scoring, if he comes in as just a force at the rim, I think this team becomes much better because they have 3 guys that score more than 17 right now.
Okay, I'm looking at it now, and actually last year he was probably, I don't think he was the best. He's probably one of the best. He was one of their scorers though. He was shooting 58% from the field, 47% from deep,
Oh,
getting 5 rebounds, a block, and .8 steals per game. So he would help, but yeah.
yeah. If he can come back and just be focus on that defense, I heard that one block and the .8 steals. If he can get that together, then Zaga might get a banner.
All right. And this is the part, unless you have some stuff for everybody on down the line, we skip around a little bit.
Yeah.
What North Carolina? Let's see. You said you had some stuff about North Carolina.
Yeah.
I think it was you wanted to complain.
Yeah, my New Year's resolution for them is someone to have a good talk with Roy Williams about what some people need. I completely get that he's an older school coach and he's not going to be stroking anybody's ego. And you don't need to. Just give him a chance. Nasir Little's kind of on a short leash. I think he plays with enough effort where you kind of have to let him cook for him to get in his own groove. I know this is like a weird comparison, but this is mostly just like on a mentality level. He reminds me of like a 6'7", what's buddy? I can never think of his name. The young bull, Colin Sexton. Not exactly.
Yeah, I wasn't about to get that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you good. Not exactly erratic, but he exerts a lot of energy at most things, and that's Nasir Little's calling card. If you can go back to what he was doing in high school, of course he was bigger and stronger than everybody. But if you go look at some of the All-Star games, like he played defense on Zion Williamson, was like the only person that could actually like pretty much what Hashimura was able to do in that game against Duke. That's what Nasir Little was doing at the high school level. And the fact that Roy Williams, I'm not saying he's holding him back, but he's holding him to a much higher, smarter standard. If I didn't think Nasir Little was a one-and-done type guy, I'd be like, I completely understand. But if you give him a chance, whether that's like 25 minutes a game, I know he's almost averaging 20 minutes. But if you just give him a chance to, like, when you guys are up or when you're playing a smaller team, just, like, go cook. Like, let me see what you can do. Like, prove to me why you want so many minutes. And if you don't do well enough, then I can play you the tape back and be like, so who was right? Okay, leave me alone and listen to what I got to say. But I think Nasir Little's taking it way better than most players would. And he's really buying into that system. I really hope he makes the right decision come after March when they get bounced from the Sweet 16.
What I would say as far as that though is like, yeah, he's averaging just under 20 a game, but it's not like they're dudes soaking up a ton of minutes on the team. Nobody's averaging 30 minutes a game. Like that, and also, wait, how many threes is he taking?
Probably not a lot.
I'm just seeing the percentage.
5 of 23.
Averaging.
He's 5 of 23.
Okay, he hasn't taken that many either.
Yeah.
Okay. But like it could just be one of them things where he's a good prospect, but not necessarily a really. He could be a really good prospect, not necessarily a really good college player.
Yeah, but the only way you can really mold that out is if you play in like an actual game. I'm about to go look at their schedule right now. Um, yeah, like where they should have really hammered this stuff out is games against Wofford. They only won by 11, which is weird.
I think Wofford's supposed to have a dude on their team who's kind of cold, if memory serves.
Let me look. Let me see. Okay, I'm doing some weird stuff here. But if that's true, I could see that. Yeah, if you're talking about McGee, he had 21. But you go let him show why you gave him that scholarship. You don't really sit him down. And I completely understand. Oh, you gotta work your own thing out. Like in the game against Elon, I get it. It was a blowout. They won by 51 points. Well, 49. But that's the game. Little got 21 points. Like let him get his confidence up against those guys. Tennessee Tech. That's where he should have got a lot of minutes. St. Francis. You just pick your poison on some games where you're kind of like, I know my team is much better, so we have to get this kid to play. But that's just my thing. I will always have not exactly an axe to grind, but the elite kids that kind of get pushed to the back. Not exactly they're pushed to the back of the proverbial bus and not given a chance to really show off what they can do. That's always been something that irks me a little bit.
Okay, question. Just kind of deviating for a second while I'm thinking about it. So, how did you feel when Scal Labissiere? I think how it's pronounced. Is Bassier? It's like I feel like I've heard it pronounced.
Yeah, you've heard it
like I
pronounced
tried
a
to
lot
pronounce
of ways.
it.
Yeah.
But then it's like I'm trying to make sure it's right. But anyway, like how did you feel about him when he was about his situation when he was at Kentucky?
Labissiere is weird. I've never really cared for his game that much, and it was he wasn't ready physically, and that hurt his mindset a little bit. Like where in high school he could just be 7'1", 220 pounds, and a decent athlete. Nobody's touching you there. But when you get to the college game and 7'1", 220 pounds, you are one of the smaller guys on the court now. You can't do what you were doing, and it was obvious that he couldn't do much against bigger players. I was never like, he needs more playing time. I was like, no, he needs to be in a weight room. And I think that's why I fight so hard for Nasir Little. He's 6'7", like 220. Like, physically, he's there. And the fact that if you can, even high school Zion was like 280-something. If you could match up with all of that athleticism, all of that size, I get that you're might not be the highest basketball IQ, but at least let him go throw that effort around.
Yeah. So. All right. Let's see. Arizona State. I want to think. The last couple of games, their best score they actually haven't gotten a whole lot out of. I would guess if I was to give them something, it would be, I guess, consistency from him.
Oh, who are you talking
at
about?
Least,
who are you talking about?
Dort. I want to think the last couple of games he hasn't. I don't know about the last game. I think it was with Princeton, but I know when they played Kansas. I want to think when they played Vanderbilt. He wasn't able to do a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, they did get the win on Kansas, but he wasn't a factor like you would expect him to be, or like the team would generally need him to be. Let me check. Okay, all right, he had 13 points, but he took 14 shots. Yeah. That consistency. Also, what they need to make sure they do is they not lose in league play, because the Pac-12 is just not that good right now. Um, at least not where, at least not if you're going to start trying to compare it to any of the other big conferences. They've taken a lot of losses that you don't want to see folks take. Well, how do I pull up the conference? That and Arizona State, they're probably the best team in the conference anyway at this point.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that. My only thing, my New Year resolution for them is more Remy Martin. Possibly the best name in all of college basketball. But what he did against Kansas just proves that he's a killer, bro. Like down the stretch, I don't know what got into him, but he was like, "Oh, this is my game." And the fact that they lost to Princeton after beating Kansas bothers me. I'm looking at the record right now. But yeah, Remy Martin, that dude's nice. I get that he's not shooting the best for him. I think he's having just a down year period as far as like a efficiency and scoring standpoint. And I get he's still young. He's just a sophomore, but he is easily. I think he might be one of the quicker guards in the all of NCAA, because he had those guys at Kansas looking bad down the stretch, and I don't know if that's just because he had better conditioning, but he was all over the place making plays. I think he made one dude fall at one point. Just more Remy Martin, bro. I just want to see him with the ball more.
Okay. If I was to give, all right, so Buffalo, who I still don't think I've seen them play at this point. Just they need to make sure they don't lose the conference, not the conference, but in the conference. That'd be a quick way for them to drop out of the top 25. And it's like I'm not sure about the conference per se, but I'm fairly confident that them losing in conference would be reason for them not to get even an at-large or whatever. So, but otherwise, they've been playing good basketball. Like they beat West Virginia, they beat San Francisco, they beat Syracuse. They didn't get blown out by Marquette, though.
Marquette is cooking this year, ain't they?
Yeah. What was it? Their leading scorer, what's that man's name? Marcus something, hold up.
Marcus Howard?
Yes, thank you. I think I saw something. He's had a couple of 40-point games this year.
Yeah, he put 45 on on Buffalo.
Yeah, like he's averaging 25, 4, and 5. He's not 6 feet tall, if memory serves. He gets buckets. He just does. He's one of those guys. They also got some, the two Hauser brothers, both shooting over 40% from 3. Okay. Like, Marquette is doing pretty well on the whole. Yeah. So it's not like it was a bad loss or anything. When I say they lost to Marquette, they did.
Okay. My thing for Buffalo is just do whatever their coach says. I cannot think of his name right now, but I know he used to play for Duke. I have no idea why I'm going blank on buddy's name. Let me go to it. Coach. Do you remember that coach's name? I'm really upset that I can't think of it right now.
Do not. I don't think I ever learned it, being honest with you.
Yeah. He played at Duke with Christian Laettner. I'm really upset that I'm drawing a blank. It's on the tip of my tongue, too. His dad was a really good coach as well. Um,
Uh,
Bobby
Nate.
Hurley.
Oh no, Hurley is Hurley is it. Well, there's one Hurley at UConn. There's another Hurley at Arizona State.
Oh, he. Oh, so
Yeah.
wait. It was last year that he was coaching at Buffalo, right?
No, last year. What I think. I hope I get this man's name right. Danny Hurley. Bobby's younger brother was coaching at Rhode Island. And he left, and he just left to go coach at UConn.
How about this off?
So, yeah, Bobby Hurley, Dan Hurley. Yeah.
That's bad.
He's coaching it. Yeah, he's coaching at UConn, and has them playing some pretty good basketball.
Yeah, we're gonna have to edit this part out. That's bad. That's bad. Super
That's
off,
fine.
bro. I could have swore one of them coached at Buffalo not too long ago. I could have swore Bobby Hurley coached at Buffalo.
He might have, but he's been at. He coached at Buffalo from 2013 to 2015.
Oh, I got my timelines all wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly I don't know anything about Buffalo, so I'm done.
Let me see, what else is worth talking about? Texas Southern, we talked about it a little earlier. Texas Southern beat Texas A&M yesterday. That's their third win over a major conference team. But it looks like you look at their record and how the games panned out, like they're inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't show up for every game. Because like you're beating some solid teams. You shouldn't be losing to these other ones. But actually what I hope with them is that they just go ahead and win their conference. Because there's no way that if they don't, that they're going to get an at-large. Even though they have those wins. Like, if they get an at-large, that'd be cool, though. But it's not happening.
Yeah.
But I want them in the tournament so they can make some team somewhere very unhappy.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. They're gonna have to win their conference because they're 5-8 right now. So the chances of them getting in are very low. But what is bothering me, actually, they have a really hard
non-con, yeah.
Yeah, that's not fair. You know them. These big schools play these little pay little schools to lose. That's just not fair. Because this team is actually, well, big name wise, nobody knows who they are for the most part. This team is solid, bro. Like, looking at their numbers, actually, like they're borderline. You can tell that some guys play bigger for bigger games because they're not that good from the field. They're college all right from the free throw line at 67%, and they can't really shoot 3-pointers. So when they win games, they're just playing outside of themselves for, I'm assuming, some type of pride reason. Because when these boys want it, they go get it. But it's weird. Almost all of their wins are against definite tournament teams. So at least that's a good sign.
Yeah, it's a good sign as long as they get into the tournament.
Yeah, they could be like, they could be giant killers.
And it's like, Ken Palm has them at 203 right now? And maybe it's just how I feel about it. I feel like they should be closer to, like, if nothing else, they're an average team on the whole, I would feel. So somewhere closer to 150, if not higher, because the teams they've beaten aren't bad teams, and they played a hard schedule.
Yeah, but if you're looking at these losses are bad, bro.
Yeah.
Like almost 50 against Gonzaga. Barely lost to Iowa State. Almost 40 ball by
South Dakota State.
San Diego. Evansville had them by 20 plus.
San Diego, my bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like their losses are kind of bad, but it's also just it's like, I don't know, maybe it's one of them things like, what team wants to show up today?
Yeah, their losses look worse than their wins. I think that's something I would have to say.
The only thing about Gonzaga though is Gonzaga. That's gonna happen to basically anybody outside the top.
Yeah.
Definitely outside the top 25.
Yeah, but you lost to Lamar though. They lost to Lamar.
Yeah. Alright, yeah. I'm looking at it, I can't really defend that one. Yeah. Lamar, but that's the thing though, it's like they're playing alright against good teams. But so then, like, you look at Lamar and it's just like, why did you lose this one?
Yeah. It's almost like somebody's whispering in the air, you know you're on TV, and they're like, really? Okay, let me go ahead and do this.
Maybe that's what's going on.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to talk about? I think I've covered most of my stuff of interest.
There's a guy at Texas Tech that I saw when they played against Duke. Give me a second. I want to look up his name. I don't want to butcher it. But I believe it is Jarrett Culver. And not on anything weird or nothing, but I think I have a new basketball crush. Because that guy, I sat up to watch it. Like, I'm usually like laid back, but I was like, oh, okay, he can play basketball.
Culver?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he's been getting buckets this year.
Can you read off the stats for me?
All right, so he's currently averaging 19.6 points, shooting 56% on the whole, 45% from deep, just under 70% from the free throw line, getting 5.6 rebounds and 4.3 steals. 4.3 assists, and just under a steal a game, and half a block a game.
Yeah. And with them being ranked number 11, it's kind of hard to say they'll shock someone. But Jarrett Culver is already on most people's big board as a first-round pick. But if he does what he was able to do, what he was able to show against Duke during March, there's no way that they're not considering him as at least a top 3 shooting guard in this upcoming draft. Because Buddy was mean. He put up 25 on him, 4 assists. But it's the things that you kind of have to watch with him. Like, he's so athletic. I want to say he's like, let me go to him. He's 6'5", but 195 pounds. But he looks skinnier than that, but he uses his size so well. Like, he was able to match up with R.J. Barrett on a couple, like, switches. He got in front of Zion, and not much happened, but he was able to stick with him. It's not like Zion was trying to do anything off the dribble because it's Zion. But that guy's mean. And I also kind of have to big up him because He's from Texas, and I live here now. So, yeah. But yeah,
Right.
but he's nice.
Okay.
All right.
That's about all I got. So I guess we can close this one out.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Calvin, go ahead and tell the people where they can find you and what you're working on.
Y'all can find me on Twitter. My C McGowan II at CMCGOWAN II. It's like the second. And I need to sit down and go ahead and pump out this article that has been in the works, and I just haven't done it because I'm on break and have been exceedingly lazy.
I can completely understand where you're going, but yeah, follow Calvin for all of the good takes on college basketball. He's always on it. I, on the other hand, am Alan Pettigrew Jr. You can find me on Twitter at AP_the_great_. And you can also follow us at the Traveling Hooper. That's where a lot of our hot takes for NBA, college basketball, and high school basketball, as well as footage and highlights from all three levels will be. We're a little bit more active on that, so please give us a follow. And I am working on a couple different articles at Vegas Sports Daily. One being how Kelsey Plum can take the next jump for the Las Vegas Aces this year, as well as 3 players that the Las Vegas Aces should be considering with the number 1 draft pick. Those are both coming out later this week. And I will also be getting out on Fansided the top 4 draft classes from the 2018 draft so far. Outside of that, thanks for listening, guys. Have a great afternoon.